Once upon a time there was a brave prince named Charming, who lived in a huge castle in the middle of his large country. Charming was noble and wise, honest and true, and he did his best for his people. Everyone loved and adored him. In a neighboring kingdom, there were rumors of a princess trapped in a tower, guarded by an evil knight, who would not let her go, for her beauty was rumored greater than riches. With the encouragement and support of his kingdom, the prince set out on his steed to rescue the princess and defeat the evil knight. After a long and strenuous journey,
What are you doing?
Documenting our case.
I see. Well, let's hear it then.
All right. Once upon a time, there was a brave...
Brave? Didn't you make me kill a spider for you in the corner just last night?
It was a big spider, and besides, that's not for the general kingdom. And I refuse to be seen as a
Spineless coward?
as a wee bit minuscule. Perhaps not as brave as the reports might indicate.
I see. Well, then please continue, brave prince.
Once upon a time, there was a brave prince named Charming.
Your mother's the only person who would ever call you charming.
Who lived in a huge...
Huge?
Are you going to let me finish this, or are you just going to keep interrupting me?
My dear, brave prince, I don't know what came over me. Please, continue.
Who lived in a huge castle in the middle of his large country. Charming was noble and wise, honest and true, and he did his best for his people. Everyone loved and adored him. In a neighboring kingdom, there were rumors of a princess trapped in a tower, guarded by an evil knight, who would not let her go, for her beauty was rumored greater than riches.
Of course he kidnapped her because she was beautiful, not because he wanted a ransom.
I can't blatantly say that, Cabbage Brain. This is for the general public.
I suppose, but couldn't you try for some honesty? I mean, calling that knight evil?
Well, since when has honesty ever worked in politics or with Mother? With the encouragement and support of his kingdom, the prince set out on his steed to rescue the princess.
That's the tactful way to say, in order to meet the demands of his mother.
Isn't it?
If I recall correctly, it was a 2-day process to remove your fingernails from the bedpost and drag you to your carriage. There's a phrase for that, you know. Lily-livered sloth. I'm sorry, Charles. I didn't mean you like your comforts. And growing up as you have, who can blame you?
My comforts are reasonable. But who wants to pick a fight with an evil knight?
You're such a bastard, Charles.
After a long and strenuous journey.
Strenuous? As I recall, you spent each night in a cozy inn with warm meals, traveling each day in your extravagant carriage with your army of soldiers to protect you, and you didn't even feel a drop of rain the day it poured.
I am a prince. If Mother was going to force me to go, the least she could have done was give me adequate resources. Besides, there were mountains.
Not even hills.
And lakes.
Puddles.
Famine.
Charles, you skipped lunch once.
You can tell the story then.
Oh no, I'm quite enjoying correcting yours. Please go on.
at the end of the long journey, the prince arrived at the tower, where he found the evil knight waiting for him. The prince sized up his enemy and drew his sword, preparing for battle. They sparred back and forth, bitterly. The prince was weary from his long journey, but found strength in his righteousness. He fought valiantly, but found that he and his foe were evenly matched. When the prince was nearly spent, and his foe's victory at hand, he remembered his quest, and with a burst of strength, he overcame his foe. And with one final stroke, stabbing into the heart of the wicked knight and ending his life, would you stop laughing?
You fighting? Charles, you're not a fighter. Your strengths are in words and managing people, not fighting. The idea here is, quite frankly, it's absurd.
Blood spattered and exhausted.
Exhausted? Exhausted from what? Handing over the proper amount of shiny things to pay off the night and leave peacefully?
Our valiant hero entered the tower and climbed up the stairs to the landing. The prince broke the lock to the chamber, opening the doors to find the princess waiting inside, wide-eyed and innocent. The perfect princess.
But the prince was reminded of what he already knew. His heart belonged to another.
Indeed it did.
She was only 17 and knew little of the world outside her tower.
What careless parents would let their daughter get kidnapped?
I had to rescue her. Besides, it forged an alliance between our parents' kingdoms. How was I supposed to know that we had to get married?
Why can't you just have an alliance without marrying this girl that you don't even know?
Because there's no other way that the two kingdoms could join in an alliance.
Just like you did with your armies and your servants and your bribes.
I know you're jealous, James. The story's not over yet.
And then you start reading.
Despite this, he took her home with him. At the very least, she wouldn't have to live alone in that tower.
Of course not. Your mother would have skinned you alive when you got home if you didn't.
I couldn't leave her undefended in the tower.
I didn't tell you to leave her undefended in the tower. I only mean you could have escorted her back to her negligent parents.
It didn't seem like I had many options. It was very stressful. The prince made a tiny mistake. An error in judgment? An accidental miscommunication. Blatantly supporting a lie. His parents, the princess, and her wonderful parents.
The only person that scares you more than them is your mother.
Wonderful parents still thought they were getting married. After all these lies, a week before the planned wedding date, the prince decided he should tell his family about his relationship with his servant and his intent to marry the man. James, I'm sorry I thought for a second to marry the princess. The proposal made me realize I'm ready to settle down, but I don't want to settle down with her. I don't want to wake up every morning next to her. I want someone who holds me to the truth. You challenge me, and I care about you more than anyone I've ever known. James, will you marry me?
Your parents.
It don't matter. If they can't see why I want to spend the rest of forever with somebody I don't hate.
Don't hate?
With somebody I love. Then that's not very reasonable of them.
I love you too, Charles.
Then come with me then. Worst case scenario, I get disowned. Then I won't have any royal duties, any responsibilities. We can go wherever we want.
You'll also lose your access to the royal library.
Oh damn, I guess we can't do it then.
You don't even know where the library is.
Oh James!
Charles, how do you think this is going to go?
Well, it is a fairy tale. My hope is happily ever after.